Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne. This is Tolu Sarah Johnson. This is the book Reframe Heaven. This is chapter 16.
Yes. This is where you realize not everyone is experiencing the same heaven. Different depth, different awareness. Looking at what we've discussed so far as well, there's quite a lot of similarity in what this chapter is about. Because when you thought heaven was identical for everyone, that was actually wrong. This is where you imagine that once you arrive, everyone experiences the same thing, the same closeness, the same awareness, the same encounter, as though heaven is one shared reality felt equally by all. And we've talked about different realms, different that each person can experience, but at the same time as well, there are depth of relationship that you can experience with God, with Jesus. Before, Jesus used to go around in heaven to every person in heaven and have this weekly catch up with them. And Jesus knew that there are levels of conversation you can have with each person depending on your growth of maturity. So there's no one size fit all. I remember these conversations that we do have with heaven. Papa has said it so many times. I have to dumb down the level of the maturity of the communication to yourself and Matthew's level. That is the way we can understand. I could speak to my son, Emmanuel, who is in heaven and so advanced, way, way advanced more than me. I'm sure if Emmanuel needs to communicate with me, he will have to bring it to a level where I'll be able to digest information. So heaven is shared but not experienced equally because the environment is perfect. Heaven itself is full, though it's full of peace, it's full of love, it's full of presence. Everyone experience depends on your capacity. And not everyone perceives the same depth. Not everyone engages the same way because awareness matters. This is where something deeper becomes clear. You don't experience heaven based on location. You experience it based on your awareness. You experience it based on your growth. You experience it based on your willingness. What are you willing to do to grow? And there are different depth, different reality. Two people can be in the same place, and yet one sees deeply and one sees lightly. The same statement can mean two different things to both of us. And that is what people need to understand about the Bible, that the Bible is not expected to be understood at the same depth, at the same level. We will read the same verse, and I could get a different message from that same verse. Matthew can get a different message from that same verse. So that verse doesn't need to be the same to us. Because where we argue blindly is you are thinking that same verse that I read should speak the same thing to you. What about if we are not in the same level? What about if God is using that to speak into my present situation and I need to align it? So I'm not that kind of person that will believe that one verse means the same thing. To me, I think the Bible verses are subjective and you can always align it or see from the lens of either your distortion or from your lens of growth. So whatever that will be, you will have to understand that people are not at the same depth, they are not at the same reality. And I think this will happen in every kingdom. Even on earth, we can say we are equal, we're not equal. There are classes of social classes. There's the wealthy group, there is the middle class, and there is the poor. So don't tell me that everyone has to be in the same level. There's no society that functions on the same level. I was speaking to a friend a few days ago, and the friend was complaining about how the economy is so bad, how there's so many policies and everything. And I told the friend, I said, well, we can change it. And there was somebody, I don't know who was telling me that I knew I had a conversation with someone say, oh, yes, but we cannot continue. Yes, it was my physio. We cannot continue to have the very, very wealthy in the society where they are very, very poor. And he made an example of someone working in a supermarket and they are the ones that work really hard and they barely get £10 per hour. And then you've got the director that sits at the top getting so much bonuses every year. I said, but do you know the risk the director has had to take? Do you know how many nights of sleep? Do you know the responsibility, the weight it carries? The person working at the till doesn't carry that weight. They come to you, they fix whatever they need to fix, they go. The director carries it everywhere he goes. It's about, I said, so he said it's not fair. I said the society is never going to be fair. So you have to get it into your head that it's never going to happen. So, and I don't think heaven operates on the same level as well. We can say, yes, we've got equal opportunity. Yes, we have got equal opportunity, but there are layers and there will be people that will be at the top and there will be people that are still struggling. So, but everyone can reach that. So two people can be in the same place and yet one can see deeply and one can see lightly. And one understands more, they feel more. Like Matthew can see deeply. And that is why Matthew struggled on that. He can see deeply. That guy is way, way weird. Like, sometimes I don't know what is going on in his head. And sometimes I think he's turning me into something else now. Like, I was speaking to Benjamin. I said, Benjamin, you don't even want to know what is happening now in our conversations. I don't even want to go there. Because if I go there, you will say, Tolu, you are crazy now. You don't know what you're saying. But I've got to follow this crazy man that God brought my way. And I'm just following by faith. And I'm hoping it doesn't end me somewhere I didn't imagine I'll be. Not in a bad, but at least if you catapult me into something greater, then so be it. But I am taking a risk doing this. It's a risk I'm taking every day. And living life is taking risk. But don't tell me that the depth that Matthew has got, I've gotten. No, I've not got the depth of understanding that he's got when it comes to the things of the spirit. How can you be having 3 million or whatever million of people sitting behind you and you're trying to connect them telepathically? Well, it's only Matthew that can do that, and I respect that in him. So one understands more, they feel more, they perceive more, they engage more. And while another is content at a simpler level, it's not wrong. It's not being excluded. We're just different. We just have desires for different things. And awareness is built. It's not given. Don't expect that somebody is going to give you the awareness, the understanding. No, you have to grow into it. It's not automatic. It is developed. People that are into witchcraft, they know this so much better than we Christians. They know they need to grow into that through intimacy, through openness, through desire. And it continues. It continues throughout life. Whether you're on earth or in heaven, you could deepen, you could expand, you could be awakened. But you must want to. It is. That desire must be in you. So, why does our experience matters? Why does our experience differ? Because maturity differs. Not everyone pursue God in the same depth. Just trying to summarize what I said. Not everyone is responded the same way, and not everyone developed the same capacity. And that can affect your experience. Not God's love, but your experience of Him. That's the clarity. Don't tell me that God is not love. No, it is because of your own experience. You've not tapped into that love that is made available for you. So your experience of Him can determine how you see Him. So God is fully present to all. This is important. God does not give Himself more to some and withhold Himself from others. He is fully available to all. And our perception might vary. Some might recognize Him clearly, hear Him easily, like Matthew, the way he hears Him. Matthew, just give me a minute. I'm looking for a tissue. I don't know where I put it. So like Matthew can hear Him clearly more than I can. He can hear Him deeply more than I can. And others can sense Him faintly, because my senses are really good. I can understand Him slowly or engage with Him lightly. It doesn't matter. We are all on a journey. Not because He changed, but because we are growing. And the comfort of alignment is you are not meant to feel out of place. If you're feeling out of place now, you are not. You're surrendered by those as similar awareness of you. That's why they are realms, as similar depth, as similar experiences. So it feels natural. No pressure to perform, no need to confirm, no need to compare, rather, just alignment. So growth remains available. You are not limited. Even if your awareness is shallow, developing, or uncertain, you can grow always. And your experience expands as your awareness expands. So the lie that needs to fall away is you need to realize the belief that heaven feels the same for everyone. No. The truth is that heaven is one reality, but experienced in many depths, in many dimensions. So let the shift begin. This is where you need to stop expecting identical experiences or equal perception, because it's not going to happen. And you begin to understand that awareness matters, growth matters, and depth matters. God bless. And you back to Matthew.
So I just want to share that in your experience in heaven, people will have different friends. You can imagine that meeting a person and having a friend of a person who just went to church on Sundays and went and worked in a job all week, went back to church on Sundays, didn't really read many Christian books, didn't really read the Bible, didn't really share their faith with other people. They'd be in a lower realm in heaven. They'd be pretty basic sort of conversation. But if you're in a higher realm with the Apostle Paul, if the Apostle Paul was your friend, if you'd lived that life of just going to church on Sunday and working a job Monday to Friday, and you hadn't really done anything with your Christian faith, you may have it really hard speaking to the Apostle Paul for long, because you wouldn't really have shared experience. You really wouldn't have much in common. But for instance, Benjamin, Tolu's husband, who suffered all his life with the sufferings of Christ and the sufferings of God, he was deeply understanding God's suffering and God's pain. He'd have a lot in common to talk to the Apostle Paul about suffering. He'd understand at depth and have conversations. So people in heaven are organized and settled into places of similar maturity. You can, if you're advanced maturity, if you're the Apostle Paul, you can talk about barbecues and you can talk about food and you can talk about coffee and basic sort of conversations. But you're more aligned to speaking in spiritual depth. You're more aligned to speaking about faith in a deeper way. And so you can have these baseline conversations with people if you're the Apostle Paul, but you'd prefer really in-depth conversations about your faith. So there's in heaven, there's people aligned in lower realms, realm 1 to realm 7, and they all talk about different things. In realm 7, I've encountered Benjamin, Tolu's husband, who's had a 3-day conversation. They've talked all day and all night, all day and all night, all day and all night in one conversation. Can you imagine having a conversation that long? The average Christian, the Christian that you'd normally meet, couldn't talk about Jesus or couldn't talk about their faith for more than half an hour. They'd run out of things to say. How do you have a 3-day conversation? You have it because you share a lot in common and you've got a lot of spiritual depth in you. So, not everyone's experience in heaven is the same. A person in realm 1, if they're in a 3-day conversation, it wouldn't be a conversation, they'd be falling asleep. They'd be wanting to go home to go to bed. They'd be making excuses to go somewhere else. They wouldn't want to continue in the conversation. And neither would Paul. Neither would Paul want to continue in a 3 day conversation with someone who's just got one sentence answers and who can't really communicate. So, whether you're destined for Rome 1, which 90% of Christians are, or whether you're destined for a higher realm, it all depends on who you are, how spiritually mature you are, how much you've matured on earth. Do you actually know Jesus? Do you know? Can you read the Bible and go into travel in time and actually see the scene? Can you go backwards in time and see Jesus doing a certain healing miracle or speaking to his disciples on the Sermon on the Mount? Can you actually see that? Do you know the depth of the things that Jesus said? Do you know Jesus at depth? Your experience in heaven, if you don't know Jesus, if you haven't had two-way conversations with Jesus, your experience of heaven will be completely different to someone who knows Jesus really well, who on earth had visions of Jesus and met with and interacted with Jesus in the flesh and in visions and in their daily communication. So not everyone's experience of heaven is the same, and I hope I communicated that well to you.
Thank you, Matthew. So is it okay for your dad to speak into this, Matthew?
Okay, so this is Bob Payne, Matthew's dad. When I got to heaven, I was shocked that my wife and I were placed into Rom 7, and I didn't really understand why I was placed with the apostles and the people of God until I fully realized that my wife, Matthew's mother, got rewarded for bringing him up. Matthew is a big figure in heaven, and even though he's not in heaven, he's positionally seated in Rom 21 in heaven, and his mother and I got rewarded for bringing him up and placing the faith into him and encouraging in the faith. So um, I have a pretty easy life in heaven, similar to Prince Philip. His wife is the one that did all the achievement and as the queen, and she ascended to Rome 7 herself, and Prince Philip relaxes and just hangs around theological people and talks theology and enjoys himself. I'm the same. I enjoy fishing a couple of times a week with Peter, and I enjoy playing golf, a couple of times a week. And my golf handicap is getting better. I'm getting better and better at golf. But I also have been trained in the prophetic, like Matthew. I've become a prophet, and I've counseled people and taught people and gave people prophetic counseling, prophetic understanding. I've written a few books. The people on Rom 7 are a whole lot more advanced than Rom 1. I've met people in Rom 1 and Rom 2 and all the different realms, and they all have different grades, different levels of maturity, and heaven rewards those who did well. If I wasn't married to June, who did most of the work with Matthew, I'd probably be in Rom 1 myself or Rom 2. But I was married to June and supported her and brought in the money and was the father of the family. And so I got rewarded with her reward. That's another thing about heaven you may not know. If your husband and your husband and wife, and you aren't as sincere about your faith as your wife is, the unbelieving husband or the husband without as strong a faith as their wife will go to the same realm as to the highest realm. So if your wife ascends to realm seven, you'll be in realm seven too, and it'll be up to you to catch up with your maturity when you're in heaven. So, you don't send a couple, one in realm seven and one in realm two. You don't live in two different realms. You go to the highest realm. So, the people we meet are people who are really accomplished in their faith and were really accomplished in their faith, and all the Old Testament saints and prophets and people like that, and the disciples of Jesus. And at our dinner table, some of the greatest people of heaven assemble each night, and it's really good living. It's a testimony to the grace of God, the grace of God, the undeserved favor of God. I certainly don't feel that I deserve this position in heaven, and that's why I celebrate and I do my best to fulfill my purposes in heaven.
Thank you, Bob. So to close the chapter, not everyone experiences heaven the same way. The environment is shared, but the depth is personal. Awareness shapes experience, maturity shapes perception. And as you grow, your heaven expands. And when you begin to see that, you stop comparing experiences and you begin to pursue greater depth with God. God bless.
God bless you, everybody, and see you in the next video.